Hello everyone and welcome to our next CG unit look back. And today we're looking at the Queen of Summoners. Now, honestly, this is a song I used back in the day when I was talking about her in the unit review, and it's kind of cool to have it back again. Because you know what? As much as I love Dragoons, probably my favorite thing about Final Fantasies, ever since I first started playing Final Fantasies, was summons. I really love summons. There are so many different types. They have the cool animations. They're strong. They're powerful. They can even be story shaping, as they were in Final Fantasy 15, Final Fantasy 10. What else? There was Final Fantasy 9. Summons play a big role in Final Fantasy, so of course the summoner is a ever important class. And with that being said, here is, like I said, basically the Queen of Summoners. And I gotta say, her animation's super cool, and minor spoiler, it's really cool that we get CG Sakura's sister in the game, her big sister. And as it turns out, well, that animation really focuses on, some key aspects, and that's all of the summons. Basically, seeing all of the summons in one animation is really, really, really cool. Again, let's take one look at it. Or one more look at it, I should say. Or I believe the new summons are missing from specifically Anima, which is too bad. I hope it gets updated as we continue on. But let's talk about this chick. And CG Citra is absolutely fantastic. As a matter of fact, I shouldn't even call her chick. She is just CG Citra, or Citra. Trust Mastery is a limit burst fail rate of 50% and a 60% spirit boost at the cost of 30% of dark resistance. Now, obviously, losing your dark resistance can be bad in some trials, but, providing the enemy has no dark attacks, then there's no problem here. It's basically just, a limit burst fail rate increase and 60% to spirit. And this is an incredibly important TMR for trying to get the spirit parameter mission. 60% spirit is a big boost. Speaking of big boost, super TMR wise, we have a 12 attack, 110 magic, and 150 spirit staff. This is incredible for a whole bunch of units, and especially summoners, because it also has 30% extra summon damage. Now that's really, really cool. So I have to say, both of these still very, very relevant today, even on the JP side. Fantastic source of spirit, and absolutely just one of the best staffs in the game, by far. So speaking of that, let's talk about her limit burst, because her limit burst also leads into one of our key important points about her. Not just that she's a summoner, but she is a very strong limit burst that has an interesting property to it. It's a 1600% AoE one-hit summon attack. Now what does that mean? Summon damage in this game is different from regular damage, both physical and magical and hybrid damage. Now, summon attacks just basically skip a lot of calculations based on the enemy, especially whether they have any, damage resistance on them. So this limit burst was very strong because it essentially said, you know what? No, I don't care what you have for protection up, I'm going right through it. And that's still very strong today because a lot of enemies are starting to get more passives, which means that summoners are just consistently a good damage option since they can basically bypass a lot of what the enemy can, resist. Speaking of which, the way that this damage was calculated also leads into a very cool thing about Citra, and that is the fact that she is a hybrid unit, but a different type of hybrid unit, a new type of hybrid unit from all the hybrid units we have seen before, and since, as a matter of fact. Her attack is based on magic, spirit, and percent evo magic, meaning that the damage calculation is different, and that's really cool. I'm a big fan of hybrid units, but most of them are attack magic based. For anyone that is just a magic spirit hybrid, The good news is that you basically attack only on the enemy's spirit value. And if the spirit value is lower, then you can do more damage. So this is really cool, just being a different calculation and kind of adding something new to figuring out how you build this girl. But also her limit burst could do a maxed out, well, maxed out was just based on damage, but the added benefit is that she can debuff AoE 60% for all elements. That's pretty cool, just all across the board, and that's pretty strong. A limit burst that can go through all kinds of protection and debuff the enemy for all types of elemental resistance, pretty useful. Now in her kit, she also has Holy and Ultima for spells, which isn't really necessarily the thing you want to use. She could regeneration by using some of the Esper gauge for MP for a single target of about 150 MP, which was nice. She could do some magic damage reduction and fill the limit burst gauge. She could provide 100% light resistance and debuff dark resistance at the same time, so kind of a trade-off. She could use any summon. She had plenty of boosts in her kit, as well as 60% summon damage, extra boost to spirit and magic in her kit, which made her, fairly nicely passively wise. She had counter abilities. She could regen, HP and MP per turn, but before we talk about her summon attacks, one of her coolest attacks was Mind Holy Flat, a 54 MP ability that could hit AoE 14 hits, magic attack, using Spirit as magic. So the stronger her Spirit stack, the more damage she could do. And again, she can reach, well over, or I believe over 1850 for Spirit, which is very, very strong for Spirit staff. But it would also heal your team at the same time too. So what's cooler than just doing damage? Doing damage and healing the party too. I mean, basically a chainer that heals at the same time. Sounds cool. She had this, a similar types of summon attacks to Yuna and Kid Rydia that were basically non-elemental. So, because Kid Rydia's were elemental, Yuna's were not. But using the summon gauge to do some summon attacks gave her some powerful options, since so many of her abilities would also give the Esper gauge, and even her chaining ability would give some Esper gauge too. Once she got into her 7-star, she got extra stats, some increase in summon damage of, 50% for equipping her TMR, so that's a total of 110% summon extra damage in her kit. She could AoE regen for 130 MP, and she had a cooldown summon attack, which was 2500%, very incredibly strong, but her last 7-star ability was insane, because it gave her natural dual wield for staffs and rods, which, if you're building her for a hybrid or building her just for spirit, meant you could get a very high spirit or magic stat. And so, what about her now? Well, simple fact is, you don't see her as a friend unit, really, unless somebody needs a summoner. And as such, most people will you'll never see her as an incredibly popular friend unit. Most people enjoy putting up strong mages or strong physical damage dealers, which is kind of too bad because in general, she has a very strong kit even to this day. Her MP generation is very strong. She can boost summons considerably stronger than what they are. And we've seen some very powerful summons show up. As a matter of fact, if you have CG Nickel, 4 of him, his super TMR is fantastic for her, because then she can compound that damage with a 3-star Leviathan to make Leviathan incredibly high damage dealing summon, which unfortunately I don't have most of that, so I can't do it. But her own super TMR is great for her. It's also great for other units, and even to this day, if it comes to having to use a summoner for something, I would all the time pick Citra over anything else in the game. She has a lot in her kit. She has a lot, and there hasn't been a great summoner that has come along since Citra, which means that Citra is still the top of her tier. Yes, Yuna has some more healing options, but honestly, you probably would still rather just run normal healer like Santa Rosalia or Ayaka or CG Fina, because, Yuna's missing some stuff in her kit when it comes to being a healer. And this girl can do plenty of damage. She can do a pretty amazing amount of damage too. But her MP regeneration, her natural dual wield, it just makes her very, very strong. And she's a very interesting hybrid unit. So I guess my end summary of her is still pretty much the Queen of Summons until somebody new comes along. Hey, maybe, well, with the re-release of some units being teased on the horizon, maybe we'll see a 5-star Garnet. 5-star Garnet gets a Bahamut summon and an Arc summon. No, you know what? If a 5-star Garnet gets an Arc summon, then we'll talk about who is better. But for now, pretty easy that Citra is Queen of the Summoners. At least till we see some new stuff. So that's all for now. Next time, we will be taking a look at the next CG unit to come along, which was the CG tank. And the most charming tank at that.